Well, joining us live is Dr. Peter Chen, political analyst, and very much into this particular bill. You know a lot about it. There's certainly, pros and cons, but what did you make of it?
Yeah, so, I mean, there are really three aspects to the bill that I think we're going to be talking about over the next year and a half. The first is obviously the politics of this, and Trump has pulled this off. And there was a lot of skepticism about whether he'd be able to get this bill shepherded through the Congress, but also he set an extremely aggressive timeline on it to get it done by the 4th of July, and he's managed to achieve that. So people will see the footage of him signing the bill, but also on the 4th of July, fighter jets and bombers flying overhead. It's extremely kind of symbolic for him. He also has demonstrated that his detractors are in a very weakened position. And so your viewers will be well aware that people like Elon Musk, but some of the more small government Republicans, the libertarian type Republicans, have been extremely critical of the bill because of its $3 billion possible impact on the American debt. But he has cowed them. He's managed to get it through, and eventually only 2 Republicans in the lower house over there voted against the bill. So he's managed to show, in the face of some declining polling against him in general, but also polling that showed that most Americans were in favour of the bill. He's managed to use his personality, he's managed to use his control of the media, he's managed to use his relationship with Mike Johnson, the Speaker, who was also seen as being possibly in a weakened position, to actually demonstrate that he's in a very strong position and he's managed to achieve this outcome. So the politics for it now is very much a win in the column of Donald Trump. The substance of the bill is interesting because it is a massive bill that's going to play out over, at least a decade. So we think about the impact on access to health insurance for, up to 10 million Americans, depending on the analysis you read. That is an impact that will develop over a 10-year period. So there's a slow burn there, but also really the bill has to, if the Trump administration's rhetoric is, to be believed, it has to do something that bills like this haven't really managed to achieve so far, and that is substantially increase the growth in the American economy. And one of the difficulties is that the tax cuts, which, continued tax cuts that were initially introduced in the first term of the Trump administration, those tax cuts are really going to private wealth rather than stimulating what we might call human capital. And so there is a way in which you can borrow additional money and grow your economy if you put that into productive assets, plant equipment, but also human capital aspects. And that's not really what we're seeing in this bill. So there are a lot of questions whether the bill is actually going to be as budget neutral as it is claimed, whether it will stimulate substantial growth in the American economy, which is claimed. And also, I think the question about some of the areas of expenditure. And the one that I'm particularly interested in, and it's really comparatively only a small part of the budget, is obviously the expenditure on what's called the Golden Dome, this kind of anti-missile system, the kind of Star Wars 2.0 that's written into the bill. The United States is a massive continent. The continental United States is the size of Australia. The number of weapon systems that would need to be neutralised is increasingly diverse. It's no longer the 1980s under Reagan, where they're just attempting to neutralise intercontinental ballistic missiles. There are a large number of weapon systems that would need to be addressed. And the current technology has not been very impressive. So the current kind of missile interception system that the United States has spent a lot of money building has a very poor success rate. There's about 44 interceptors they currently have deployed in 2 sites. And the best case scenario, they might be able to prevent 11 weapon systems being striking the United States. So I think that's going to be very interesting. There's going to be a lot of money being poured into technology development there. But the kind of paradigm, the kind of the dome that's used to protect Israel doesn't really apply to the United States, because the sorts of weapon systems they're attempting to address, but also the size of the country is very different there.
A lot to unpack, and we'll have to get you back on again because there's plenty more that I wanted to ask you, but we've run out of time. Dr. Peter Chen, thank you as always. Really appreciate your time and analysis.
Thank you.